Hello again, I'm Arba Kumson. The countdown is on, not just for the upcoming presidential and parliamentary elections in Ghana, but for the United States as well, which is a week away from their much anticipated polls. We begin from Ghana, where the flag bearers of the governing NDC, John Dramani Mahama, and opposition MPP Nana Akufo-Addo are making the most of the little time left. Well, 36 days might be a long time for some, but in politics, it is relatively short. President Mahama is back in the Eastern region for phase 2 of his campaign there. You will recall he was in the region last week. So what would he be doing differently as he continues his campaign there? Shortly, we will be speaking to our regional correspondent, Kofi Sian. But ahead of that, let's just hear NDC National Chairman Kofi Portafi, who's been addressing supporters in Tema.
I want to appeal to all of you to put your faith in God, that the NDC will win this election. The history of the MPP is to throw bombs and throw stones and to kill. They started in Kwame Nkrumah's time, and they want to do it to us. God has answered our prayers. More importantly for this event today, you have decided in Tema Central to have a candidate who is as youthful as many of you here. This meeting is a meeting of the youth, the campaign launch of the youth in Tema, who want to see development, who want to see progress. It gives us, the older people, although today we look like old men and women, the older people, because you are all youthful, beautiful, good. But it gives us the hope that our party, the National Democratic Congress, has a future, and the future is in your hands. But we are talking about the youth and the opportunities that President John Mahama has for you when he returns. There's no if attached to it. When he returns next year, is to make the opportunities available to every Ghanaian youth so you can have jobs. That's important.
So you had the NDC National Chairman Kofi Portafi there. He was speaking at the campaign launch of the party's parliamentary candidate for Tema Central, A.B. Bright. We can listen to the candidate now.
We come from a tradition that works to ensure that you and I, who necessarily weren't born with a silver spoon in our mouth, we can access good education, we can access good health care, that you and I can find opportunities to make a living. And after all of this behind me, after all of this behind you, let me ask you if our generation has the right not to produce leaders of good quality, has the right not to produce servants of good quality, has the right not to produce strong men and women that will stand against all odds and say, no, this land is ours. It deserves to grow. You and I, we deserve development. You and I, we deserve a bright future. You and I do not come from a family that will allow us to have retardation. You and I come from a family that makes sure that we continue to move forward. I am standing here proudly under this umbrella because our supreme leader, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, has proven to be a man of vision. He has proven to be a true man of heart and mind. So I will not hide in my house and complain. And I ask you to join me. Let us give Tema Central a voice. No longer will we be forgotten. I can assure you that the wonderful work the hospitals, the schools, the roads, which are essential to this country's future, which have been provided all around. They befit Tema Central as well. And the people of Ghana will endorse our president. It will endorse, or she will endorse our government once more. And will say, JM, Swaso.
So that was Ebi Bright, and she is the NDC's parliamentary candidate for Tema Central. Well, as we indicated earlier, the MPP was holding a rally as well, whilst the NDC was also launching the campaign of his Tema Central parliamentary candidate. The MPP was launching its Greater Accra regional campaign, and party flag bearer Nene Akufo-Addo, who was present at the campaign in Tema East constituency, promised to make Ghanaians more prosperous and ensure the country regains the respect it once had from its peers on the continent if elected.
Ghanaians look too miserable today. I don't understand why a nation that is so endowed has a people living in abject poverty. We have what it takes to turn our fortunes around. I am not here to enrich myself, but to make this country a better place. Please vote for me, because I am ready to create jobs and rebuild this country.
John Dramani Mahama, thank you and goodbye. 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 Goodbye.
Well, that event was a wife of the MPP running mate Samira Bawumia, and she's been talking to the supporters, much like how her husband does. Listen.
NDC flag, President Mama poster, NDC or more branding Ghana, branding. Into the youth of this country, we are saying to the NDC that we see you all right. You want us to see you? We see you, but we see incompetence. We see you, but we see corruption. We see you, but we see mismanagement. We see you, but we see bad governance. We see you, but we want change. We see you, but we want Ghana to move forward.
Let's now go to the courts, because an Accra High Court was today expected to begin hearing the case brought against the Electoral Commission by the All People's Congress flag bearer Hassan Ayariga, who is challenging his disqualification from the presidential race. Well, that case has been adjourned to tomorrow. We can get details from Joy News' Joseph Akable, who was at the court. Hello, Joseph. So tell us, why has the court adjourned the case?
Well, Araba, today was actually supposed to be the day where both parties, that is Electoral Commission and Hassan Ayariga's APC, were supposed to present their oral arguments in court. In fact, at the last hearing that took place somewhere Wednesday last week, the court directed that they filed their written statements by Friday. But today when we went to court, both the EC and the APC has failed to do that by last Friday. In fact, the Electoral Commission filed a statement of case this morning, whilst that of Hassan Ayariga, his lawyer explained that they'll be filing that in some few minutes time before the proceedings end. So because of that, the judge says, then if that is the case, to ensure that we get a trial done once and for all in a quick manner, let's strike out the oral argument. So rather present your written argument today so that I'll have a look at it, and tomorrow let's come back to court. If I have some questions to ask you, I'll ask. If there are no questions to ask, then I'll go ahead and fix a date for judgment. So that is what transpired in court. That led to the adjournment of proceedings.
I see. And after the court proceedings, I understand that Mr. Hassan Ayariga spoke to the media. What has he been saying?
He talked about the fact that he is very confident he'll be getting a ruling in his favor. And the point he made is that he is optimistic because he feels he has a better case compared to that of Dr. Pakwesi Ndum of the PPP, who got a ruling in his favor just last Friday. And he says that is because he filled his form properly, and the only challenge he had with his is the fact that one of his subscribers subscribed for the PNC candidate as well. So he feels that his form has been properly filled. Dr. Ndum, whose form was not properly filled, has been given an opportunity to correct it. How much more he? So he's very confident of a victory.
And Joseph, we also do know that the independent candidate, Joseph Oseyebo, was also in court today challenging the EC on the electoral roll. How did that pan out?
That suit was also dismissed, and if I can say a bit about that particular suit, he filed it around the time that there were lots of talks about the fact that the voters register wasn't credible, and we had NHIS registrants that the Supreme Court directed that they be deleted. And the point he was making is that the NHIS registrants are not so many, and that those who are actually many on the register are those who are deceased. He also talked about minors and foreigners who are on the register. So he went to court to seek an order from the court directed at the EC to force the EC to amend CI 91 such that what the commission will do is that the commission will outdo the voters register, and if you fail to go and verify your name, you will not be allowed to take part in this year's polls. So that was what he was seeking to do in court. But today, the court presided over by Justice Gifty A.J. Ado has dismissed the suit, and she says she'll give reasons later on.
All right, thank you very much, Joseph Akable, there with the updates from the court. Let's turn our attention on the flag bearer of the Progressive People's Party, Dr. Ndum. He has been basking in his victory at the courts last week. As you know, the PPP flag bearer has been given the green light to correct errors on his nomination forms to pave the way for him to contest the general elections in December. Dr. Ndum is embarking on a nationwide thank you tour, which will take him to all the 10 regions of the country in 2 weeks. Yesterday, he was at Elembele in the Western region, and today he is in the Central region as we're expected to bring you shots of that. But today, lawyers for the PPP are today expected to begin a judicial process to reinstate Dr. Ndum on the ballot paper ahead of the 2016 elections. Here's policy advisor for the party, Kofi Asamoah-Siang.
First of all, this issue came up at an IPAC meeting last Friday. Mrs. Opoku-Amankwa, who chaired the IPAC meeting, when the question was put to her, said that the procedure is that even though they were in court and they had the orders and their lawyer got a copy of the judgment, it was incumbent on the, if you like, judgment victor, in our case, Dr. Ndum, and the PPP to serve them copies of the judgment, and from there we can be able to enforce any rights that accrue to us when we want to court.
So do you know when the serving will be done?
That by close of day today, they will serve the Electoral Commission with a copy of the judgment, and then the Electoral Commission will have to now invite us and give us the time for that one anomaly to be corrected and Dr. Ndum's form accepted.
You're welcome back to Election Brief. Now let's look at the Convention People's Party, which this weekend launched its manifesto dubbed Apam Foforo, or New Confident, at an interesting ceremony in Accra where reggae legend Bob Marley's Emancipation song was a major highlight. Well, the manifesto outlines radical measures, including replacing the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission with the National Incomes Commission and cancelling outright contracts which do not benefit the country. My colleague Raymond Akwa has been going through the manifesto. He joins me in the studio. Raymond, hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Now, we do know that the manifesto is built around 4 pillars. What are they?
So the first pillar is on social policies, economic policies, responsive governance, and international relations. And these are also couched under various headings that are very important. For example, the social policy, the crux of it is job creation, in which they are going to launch the Ghana Emergency Employment Program, which is aimed primarily at the youth to make sure that they shore up the current situation of job provision and reduce drastically the job unemployment situation in the country. Now, still on social, perhaps related to the economic side too, is the issue of essential social services, which is supposed to be provided to the CPP. You cannot negotiate the basic services that every Ghanaian should get at the time they leave office, like housing, like water, like electricity, like food, like transport, and sanitation. These are important parts of the livelihood of every Ghanaian that they are going to make sure that provision is constant, is given at the right rates that people can really enjoy. Then public safety. Public safety in this case is combating the robbery menace, the rise in sexual violence against women and children, and the fatalities on our roads. And this is one element that we'll be dealing with too. Where the controversy is being actually given a lot of publicity is where they say that they are going to deal with managing natural resources in a specific way. Now, they intend to repeal and renegotiate all contracts which are not in the best interest of the country. Of course, they intend also to increase the earnings in the sector significantly. Well, you know, that's not actually new, because the flag bearer of the party has been making that point consistently, that Ghana is being shortchanged, and that if the a CPP government is elected, they would be, you know, cancelling some of these contracts that we see. But what else is contained in the manifesto? Okay, so one point that you should actually understand that, I mean, this discussion in this country is more related to the element of creating jobs for people. The discussion is to the point that the CPP says that it is not possible for we to have just a country that has so many young people who are of the age where they can work yet cannot get jobs to do. What it's going to do, under the Ghana Emergency Employment Program, first and foremost, they'll mobilize some 2 million youth for the Mars Tropical Almond Tree Project. Remember when he took his stand at the IEA? Yes, this became a very topical issue. That he explains in detail in the particular manifesto, that will generate... So this initiative will come under which initiative? It will come under the Emergency Employment Program. Emergency Employment Program, so which is sort of like the what we saw in the past, the NYEP and the rest. And later on, JIDA and its related events. So this is an emergency program, but it will get young people going into agriculture and the provision of almond tree and making sure that we can get enough. They are targeting some $300 million from this particular production alone within a very short time, we must say. All right, thank you so much, Raymond Akode, with details of the CPP manifesto, which was launched this weekend. Well, in the spirit of Bob Marley, CPP flag bearer Ivor Greenstreet urged Ghanaians to remove themselves from the clutches of the NDC and the MPP. Let's listen to him.
Oh, pirates, yes, they rob us. So I to them and shake. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit. But my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this direction, triumphantly. We are launching a true manifesto. A true manifesto of ideas that represent justice, hope, opportunity, progress, and development for all Ghanaians. NDC and MPP nearly continue to offer us what they've been offering us for 24 years. And that is their greatest speciality. Lie upon lie upon lie upon lie upon lie upon lie.
Let's go to voting school now. And you know, mistakes are a part of life. And on voting day, you could make one on your ballot paper. But what do you do when it happens whilst you're voting? In our voting school segment today, Fifi Kumsin explores how you can get help when this happens.
This is important. You could leave thumbprints on the noses of two different candidates during voting. That would mean your ballot is spoiled because you failed to show clearly who you wanted to vote for. But according to the Public Elections Regulation CI 94, a voter who inadvertently deals with a ballot paper given to them in a manner that the ballot paper can no longer be used shall deliver the ballot paper to the presiding officer, prove to the satisfaction of the presiding officer that the ballot paper was inadvertently spoiled, and obtain another ballot paper in place of the spoiled ballot paper delivered to the presiding officer. The spoiled ballot paper shall be immediately cancelled and the counterfoil marked accordingly. That's all in today's lesson.